Tonight, we're talking about Gucci Glocks, the history of the Roland Special and why it works. Are you ready? Stand by. Anyone with an Instagram account has seen a Gucci Glock before, and that's really a slang term because you can call a Gucci anything a Gucci Glock, and basically it follows this general formula. But this formula has a name. It's known as the Roland Special. Many people use the name without knowing the history, so this is an informational video about the Roland Special, not trying to sell guns or anything crazy like that, YouTube, just telling you about the Roland Special and why it works. Now, the Roland Special is not just any gun in this style of configuration. You can actually buy a genuine article Roland Special from ATEI. That is the true Roland Special. Anybody can bolt the stuff on their gun, but a real Roland Special comes from ATEI. Generally, when a gun is decked out like this and not from ATEI, it's called a Roland Special. So there you go, learning vocabulary, the more you know. But who is Roland and why is he special? So I'm going to tell you who Roland is. He's an actual person. However, first we need to address the sacred relationship between YouTube creator and subscriber. I make these world-class firearms videos for you to enjoy. You enjoy them, and then you spend your nights and weekends working as a barista in a Starbucks or something similar. You perfect your craft by putting images in the foam on the lattes, in which you put my logo in everyone's lattes, so all of the rich people who hate guns will know about the good work that we are doing here on this channel. But if you're not feeling it that much, just jump and hit that like button. I appreciate it and it helps me out in search. It lets YouTube know that I am delivering world-class firearms content, and then I need you to jump in the comments and mercilessly ridicule me for needing all of these doodads bolted onto a 9mm pistol. So now that that's done, back to the show. Well, Roland is actually a person. He is Chuck Pressburg, who is an Army SF, and he's a member of the primary and secondary community. And while he was actively in Special Forces, he used a pseudonym known as Roland, and that's based off of Roland Deschanel from the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, the gunslinger.
How dare you!
And he was the person responsible for birthing the Roland Special as we know it. Now, I'm going to put a link down in the description to a video of Chuck in his own words talking about the birth of the Roland Special, but I am going to summarize it for you briefly. Basically, Chuck, when he was doing door kicker type things, wanted to have a Streamlight X300
How dare you!
hanging off his Glock 19. Now, the problem with a full-size weapon light on a compact pistol is that they hang out past the end of the muzzle. Now, when you shoot, the gunpowder goes woo like that in a cone out of the muzzle, and it gets all over the lens of your light. So in order to try and keep his weapon light clean, he contacted KKM, who he was buying a lot of barrels from at the time, and asked if they would thread him a barrel and give him a compensator in order to redirect the gas to do something more useful like keeping the muzzle down in order to keep the lens of his weapon light clean. Fast forward a year or two and people have realized that you can now host an RMR on the slide of a pistol for a door kicker doing door kicker things at night. So for his 40th birthday, some of his buddies got him a slide with an RMR on it on a Glock 17, and he set it up the same way as his beloved 19. And the problem with that is the compensator made the 17 very, very long. So instead he went back to the 19 form factor. So basically a dot, a compensator, and a light are sort of the touchstones of the Roland Special. He also put some other stuff he likes on it. There was a very specific trigger. It was an Overwatch trigger that he had on his gun, and he had a very specific magwell. I honestly can't remember which one it was. but that allowed him to load magazines faster, and in low light it made it easier. So the gun actually gained a good bit of utility. Sighting and precision at a long distance became easier due to the red dot. The weapon light allowed him to positively identify targets. And there were some second order consequences for setting up a pistol this way by adding about 4 ounces to the dust cover of the gun in non-reciprocating mass. So with the light and the compensator, it behaves like a much bigger pistol in recoil, and in high stress settings, if you have to shoot fast, it allows you to keep a smaller group. Now, I've got another video that I'll throw a card up here and a link in the description for, where I test having different weapon lights hanging off the muzzle of the gun and how it affects my scores on the advanced super test. And I've got another video talking about carry compensators and how they work, how they interact with ammo. So I'm not going to talk about that subject. So at this point, you're probably shaking your head saying to the screen, Bruh, do you really need a compensator and a light to handle the recoil of the mighty 9mm cartridge? No, I also need a pure tungsten guide rod, which is in there, which adds another 2 ounces to this sucker. Now I can handle with my delicate wrists the mighty recoil of the 9mm cartridge. And to prove it to you, I reshot the advanced super test using the same methodology that I did in the light video. And for those not familiar with the test, it is from the holster, shooting at 5, 10, and 15 yards. There are 3 strings of fire of 10 shots on an NRA B8 style target, and there are part times of 5 seconds at 5 yards, 10 seconds at 10 yards, and 15 seconds at 15 yards. The score is aggregate. You get however many points you shot on the target. So my baseline score was a 290 using the MR920 in its basic configuration with the sight, but with it in this configuration, it jumped up to a 296. And I realized you're like, wow, that's only 6 points for a lot of expense on the pistol, and law of diminishing turns being what it is. Yeah, you're right. However, if you look at the clustering of the shots, you'll see that it tells a different story. The gun is able to return to zero a little bit faster, and it doesn't recoil as widely. The shot pattern is tighter, and that's sort of the name of the game when you have a hard use or defensive use pistol. So the Roland Special provides capability that just a baseline compact pistol does not. Now, if you check the comments, you can see all the crap that's bolted onto this thing. I'll have links to what I can link in the description, but YouTube being what it is, we can't violate those sacred policies, so we're not going to. But ultimately, the Roland Special looks to take a plastic service gun and turn it into an open pistol, and it does a pretty good job of doing that. It's an awesome range toy. You can honestly carry these. They're not too bad if you appendix carry, and they do give you a good bit of confidence when you're trying to sling some lead.